How is everybody doing? I hope good, because in tonight's video we are going to be talking about my military career. The beginning of it, at least, part one, which is signing up, shipping off to MEPS, basic training, and then graduating basic training. And we're going to cover that whole story in this video tonight. If you see that I am glossy, shiny, or any of the above, it is because it is 1,000 degrees in here, and I am really hot. But if I'm going to be talking about the military, I might as well be sweating, am I right? So, we are going to start off with basically signing up. So my military career started back in 2014 is when I signed up. I signed up when I was still in high school. My sweat rag. I signed up when I was still in high school. I was a senior at the time, and I haven't graduated yet. I signed up doing the delayed entry program. I have notes here so I don't forget anything, because I'm horrible with memory. But yeah, I signed up through the delayed entry program, and I had a 6-month waiting period. And what that means is basically you sign up before you can ship out, and then you ship out at a later date. So if I signed up today, and I'll sign up, which means I'm signing the contract. I am going into the military, but I'm not going into the military until a later date because of school, work, whatever. Or if you just don't want to go until 6 months from now, 3 months from now, whatever the case may be. Excuse me. Oh yeah, if I forget to mention, if you hear any excess noise other than my beautiful voice, I apologize. I do have children. I do have lots of stuff going on here. Let's see what we got. Alright. I just wanted to make sure nothing was gonna disturb us other than outside noises. But back to the story. Delayed entry program. I signed up when I was a senior in high school, about 3 months before I graduated high school. I signed up and through the delayed entry program. Now I went into the Army. Now the Army wasn't my first choice, but it's funny, I went into the recruiting office and I wasn't really sure if I was going to sign up, but I know I had a branch in mind, which was the Marines. And I went into the recruiting office where the Army, Marines, and Air Force all had the same building and the same hallway, basically. And the Marines was all the way down on the right. So I had to walk past the Air Force, the Army, and then get to the Marines. Air Force, their door was closed, and I think they were closed. The Army, they were open, their door was open. And then the Marines, their door was open, and there was a guy sitting in there, but he said that they were on like a Marine holiday for like a week or 2 weeks or something like that, so nobody was going to be in the office. And he was just there to do paperwork or whatever. So nobody was like signing up in those weeks or whatever. Aside from the people who have. So I went in there to talk to the Marines. They were not home, aside from one guy telling me they're not home. And then as I was talking to that guy and about to walk out of the Marines office, an Army recruiter popped his head out and said, "Hey, you want to join the military? I got some good offers in here." And I said, "Why not? I don't know anything. I would like to get some information." Well, needless to say, I basically signed up. Well, I got the process started that day. I didn't sign up until maybe a week or two later after they got all the initial stuff done. I signed up through the delayed entry program, which meaning after I signed that paperwork 6 months from that date, I'll be shipped out to basic training. That was 3 months before I graduated high school, so I'm a senior in high school at this point. I signed up. After I signed the paperwork, got all that done, they sent me over to MEPS, which I should have looked up what that means, but it's basically like a medical screening, like medical exams and stuff like that. And you go to MEPS, they get you naked, they check you all out, your whole entire body, make sure you're physically healthy, all that stuff. I am so sorry for all this sweat, but it is 1,000 degrees in here. Let's go. They make sure you're healthy, good to go. That's when you're also going to take your Asvab. Well, that's when I took my Asvab. It was at MEPS. And Asvab I'll look this one up. to make sure I had it right for you. But Asvab stands for Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, which basically means that your intelligence on certain degrees, so like mechanically, mathematically, all like everything, like English, everything, history, like they'll mash it all in the one giant test. You take that, and then whatever your score is on certain categories, like if you did really good with mechanics, they might like lean you towards becoming a mechanic or whatever. But yeah, you take that. I took the Asvab. I got my score or whatever. And then they gave me and at that place, after I took the Asvab, after all the medical screening, which is very invasive and intrusive, but it's gotta happen. After the Asvab, I got my test results. They said, these are my options. And at that time, I think there was, I want to say 10 jobs open for me. And most of them were intelligence and something, or map making, or it was something like stuff I didn't really like understand or have an interest in going to. At that point, and like when I was doing that, at that point, that mindset, I was like, I want to fight. Like if I'm joining the military, I want to be someone who, who uses guns and not paper. Which is, I mean, those people are needed 100%. Logistics is make or break an army. Logistics is just, yeah. You can't have an army without logistics, period. But yeah, so there was 3 main choices, combat arms wise, I could look at to fight. The first one I remember, or there was 4, excuse me. The first one I remember is tanker, which I think is 19 kilo for the MOS. MOS is basically your job. 19 kilo, I think it was a tanker, but I could be wrong, but yeah, my first job that they offered me was tanker, and then after that it was, I think it was the Patriot missile system or whatever, which technically isn't combat arms, I guess, but the other one was infantry, which is, infantry is just a regular old grunt, and then cavalry scout, and I was like, what's a cavalry scout? And then that's when they showed me this cool video that makes you think that you're going to be doing all these cool things, like riding dirt bikes and, wearing ghillie suits when you're not a sniper, all that stuff. So I was like, oh hell yeah, I wanted to fight, but I didn't want to be like a run-of-the-mill grunt. Like I didn't want to be infantry like everybody else was or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll be a cav scout, which is, they said is infantry, but with like reconnaissance and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool, that sounds cool. Excuse me. So sorry. So I was like, okay, let's do 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. I saw the video, did the paperwork, signed up for the job, and there I was. I had my job picked out. And ready to go. So we did all the physical, did the Asvab, picked out my job, and then after we did all that, that was like a day, like all that was just in a day. They picked me up this day. I stayed in a hotel overnight. That morning, we knocked everything out in a day. Physical, testing, job picking, paperwork, and then bam, that afternoon, I was back at my house at like 7 p.m. or something, probably even earlier than that, maybe 5, because we went at like 6 a.m. and we started at like 7 a.m. So it was like from 7 to 5, we were just going, and we got it all done, probably even earlier than that, I don't really remember, because that was 2014, and I'm horrible. Now, with that being said, after that, it was just waiting from that. I got to hang out with family, friends, high school friends, a bunch of family threw like a party together for me, like a goodbye party, pictures, all that fun, people saying goodbye. Oh my god, he's joining the army. So yeah, I shipped off in 2014 towards the middle end of the year. I can't remember exactly which month, and I got shipped off. I didn't know what I was in for, so when I got picked up, they were like, "You ready?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." They shipped me off, sent me in a hotel, really nice. Like everything was so nice, like nicest hotels, pools, gyms, snacks, like everything. They hook you up, they make it seem really nice, and then they shipped me off to Georgia. Is where I did my training, down in Georgia. Yeah, so I got shipped to Georgia, and then when I arrived there, I immediately was like, well, when I arrived there, we were all in civilians. Sorry, I'm trying to remember everything. It's so long ago. And we got off. Well, we all got on it, but okay, I'm ahead of myself. I got on the airplane, flew over to Georgia, got off the airplane. Now, when I got off the airplane, I was basically looking for dudes with folders and army backpacks that looked like they were civilians, but going into the army, and they were easy to find. They looked like me, just dumb and, not knowing what the hell we're doing, just looking around lost, like, oh my god, this is it, and it was in Atlanta, Georgia, the airport. So that's one of the biggest airports there is. And they're like, all right, you gotta meet at this clock tower in the center of the airport. And I'm like, I don't even know how to get to the center of the airport. So after I found it, there was a desk there with a guy. He was like, all right, put your stuff over here, yada yada yada. And then next thing we know, buses pull up. I'm pretty sure they call our names then. If not, we all got on the bus. They sent us off to the base. God, why am I blanking? It's like one of the most famous bases down there, and I'm sitting here blanking on it. Oh my god, not for I'm gonna kick myself. I'm gonna remember it later. And I'll just shout it out. I won't shout it out, but I'll say it. But they shipped us out. People literally, I have friends there that are stationed there, and I can't even think of the name. Why can't I think of the name? Okay, but yeah, I went to basic training there and everything, and I can't even remember the name. That's how great I am with memory. But we got there, and that's when like it was kind of scary, because they were like, all right, let's go, like ushering us fast, but not. We weren't in basic training yet. We were still in our civilians. We still had all our stuff, all that, and this is where it got crazy and I'm like that. This part almost made me quit. Like this was the moment where I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And this is when we got to 30th AG. This is where you basically just get broken down. You show up in your civilians with your stuff, you didn't know what you want to bring, whatever. They're like, all right, get rid of all that stuff, and basically get undressed, because you're about to get measured for uniforms, boots, everything, like the whole 9 yards. Every single day at 30th AG, you wake up, you get yelled at, you go to chow, and then you basically throughout the day you're just going to knock stuff off to join the military, essentially. Like not the physicals or anything like that, but getting your uniforms, getting boots, getting all the equipment you're gonna need for basic, getting your ranks if you need rank, just getting everything you possibly think you would need aside from like major army stuff. I mean, because it's all training equipment, but it is army, like real army equipment, but it's training, it's all busted up, broken and stuff. Most of it anyway. So yeah, we got all our training stuff. We got all our training stuff, got all our things, our big duffel bags, everything. Like, that's where, like, if you ever see pictures of people running in basic, they got like 2 duffel bags and a ruck or something like that. That's exactly how it was. It was like 2 duffel bags, 2 to 3 duffel bags and a ruck. I think it was 2 duffel bags and a ruck, because I remember both duffel bags on my shoulders. And then actually, I don't even think I had the ruck. Maybe it was the ruck on, and then maybe it was 3 duffel bags. I don't think I had a ruck yet. I'm gonna say 3 duffel bags. I think I had 2 on my shoulders and then 1 on my head, because I remember something being on my head that was just like my neck was like I was just getting smushed down. But yeah, we got all our stuff, everything you would need. McFly. We got all our stuff, everything you would need. McFly. Boy, don't make me. And then we basically stayed at 30th AG, which like I said, this was the point where it made me want to quit. But I think it was just because like we were being stripped of like everything, our identity, everything. So it was like this was a shock. Like when we got there, we got our haircuts, buzz cut, everything. Like everybody looked the same. Like everybody bald head. McFly. Everybody had the bald head. wearing the same thing. I mean, like, it was just like miserable. You got no sleep. No sleep. If you see the picture in this thumbnail, that is my 30th AG picture. That is the picture I took. After 3 days of like maybe 2 hours per day, like for a nap. Like, while you got to like chill out, like, alright, hang out for a couple hours, and then we're gonna go do this, and then that's when you got to like sleep really quick, and they're like, alright, on your feet, let's go, and then we go do something else. But while you're in 30th AG, you get really good food. You get a taste of what drill sergeants are like. The drill sergeants are there, but they're not your drill sergeants yet, because like I said, we're still not in basic. We're just getting broken down, all our gear given to us, and everything else going on. Yeah, so after, basically, fast forward through 30th AG, it was horrible. Just everything was stripping you of your identity. Everything. It was just non-stop, no sleep, and all that. And I was just like, oh. And we weren't really doing anything cool. Like I said, it was just uniforms. I keep saying uniforms because like that's all I remember from it. Because they kept giving me stuff that was too small. Like, they gave me a size too small on my boots, and they're like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know what kind of boot you need. I'm like, well, they're squishing my feet. And they're like, I don't care. Next. I'm like, okay, cool. So now my feet are messed up for the rest of my life. Facts. But yeah, we got everything. Like, everything you think a military person would need for training. We got carried all in our duffel bags. So we got our socks, our shirts, underwear, everything. They gave you everything. Like, you don't own an article of clothing unless they give it to you. Whatever they give you is what you own now for the rest of basic training and so on. So 30th AG was wild. We got to do some like cool cadences and stuff like that with some drill sergeants, and we got to eat really good at the defect that they had over there, because that was the real person's defect. And by real persons, I mean people who already made it through basic training and was in the army already. So they got the good food, and that was their defect over there. So we got to eat at that one while we were there for the 2 weeks or whatever, for like 10 to 14 days. And yeah, so I made it through that, and I was like, okay, that was just ridiculous. And then that's when your day comes, and every day you see these guys go out there in the quad and sit on their bags, their duffel bags, and you know, you're not to that part yet to go to basic training, but they are, because there's always cycles ahead of you or behind you. And since we were the new cycle, there was nobody behind us yet, but we were the new people, so everyone was in front of us. So we got to see everyone and their stages like do their thing, and I'm like, okay, that's next, okay, that's coming. So I got to see like what's coming before it happened. Same thing in basic training. So it was my day. 10-14 days later from 30th AG, I got all my stuff, I got all my things, everything. Like, we're briefed, we're good. We go sit out in the quad, and that's when all these white buses show up, about 4 or 5. And the people at 30th AG, they love to try to scare you. And it was because you don't know what's going on. But they're like, oh, I see those buses coming, your drill sergeants are coming, like all that stuff. Oh, and they came. They pulled up, and everybody was just dead silent. Everybody's just sitting on their rucks, just breathing, McFly, breathing and just hoping for the best. And then next thing you see is all the buses stop. You hear the brakes, and then all the drill sergeants one by one just got off, and nothing really crazy started yet because I didn't know whose recruits were who. So that's when the name calling, or like not name calling, but they had a list. They'd read off your name and you'd get on that bus. And that's when you got a little taste of like, okay, where are we going? Like, okay, like this is where we're going. We're going to basic now. And they say your name, and you got like 30 seconds, if that, to grab all your bags, like the 3 duffel bags, have them all loaded on you, and get on that bus. Now, there ain't no storage on that bus, so you have 3 full giant military duffel bags on your person, and they want you to, and think of a school bus, just a regular old school bus, a crappy one, an somebody with their 3 duffel bags and your 3 duffel bags. And, it was a tight fit. Everything was a tight fit. You were squeezing into everything. If you weren't comfortable with touching other people, you would be, or you would have to be. Yeah, so my name gets called. I get on the bus. I get set down, and then it just, after all the people got on the bus, it was just kind of like a blur. He got on the bus. He's like, I don't want to hear a noise, screaming, all that stuff. So we're silent, and it was about an 8 to 10 minute drive to get to the other side of Post. I still can't remember the name for it. Fort Benning. There we go. Fort Benning. I don't know why that didn't come to me. But yes, it took like maybe even less than that. I don't know, because it was like time was going so slow. And I was like trying to process where I was going, like what's about to go down. I'm sorry if I keep wiping myself. I'm just really sweaty. So we got to our area of where we're gonna be training and doing our basic and stuff like that, our bays. And I was at that point. That's when I figured out I was in Delta Troop, which at that time they were called the Dogs of War. I can't remember the exact unit. I think it was like 515. I can't remember exactly. I have a picture. I should have looked all this stuff up. I'm so unprofessional. But yeah, we pulled up all the buses. There's about 5 buses, and this is what they call Hell Week or Shark Attack. Yeah, Shark Attack. So the Shark Attack happens basically all throughout for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks straight. It's just, you're just there. You are, if you make it through those like 2 weeks, they said that you'll be able to make it through the rest of basic training. So we showed up with around 155 guys, thereabouts, and they said maybe it was like 170, because if we had more people than needed or that was allowed to graduate, they said, well, that's what they said. So their job, they said, was to get us to quit, and we lost 45% of our people in the first 14 days. So when we got there, we were screamed at right off the bus, just hurry up, and then that's when you got all 3 of your bags, and you got drill sergeants lined up all the way down this long sidewalk. Not even your drill sergeants, just drill sergeants for Shark Attack, which basically means you arrive and you're getting eaten alive, and it's just drill sergeants everywhere. I was lucky. They yelled at the dude in front of me, made him push, all that stuff, got in his face, skipped me, got the guy behind me, made him do push-ups and all that stuff. And that, I swear, I was like one of the luckiest dudes for like the first half of basic training when it came to that. Never got looked at, never got stopped, never got yelled at. And it wasn't because I was a good soldier. It was just, I didn't say shit. I didn't say nothing. I don't even know. Like, I was just lucky. Like, they could have, like, they walk right by me and yell at this person. And I'm just, alright. Then they leave and I'm like, whew. But yeah, so we got there, we started running, we got all through that. Like I said, we lost like 45% of our people. So like I'll say we had like 150, and we maybe had like 80 to 90 dudes left. And that's when I remember this distinctively, because after those 14 days, we had 3 platoons. First platoon, second platoon, third platoon. First platoon was basically like anybody whose last name started with an A through whatever, or A through K or something like that. You'd go to first platoon, and then L through whatever goes to second. I went to second platoon, so I was in white platoon. So it goes red, white, blue for the platoons. First platoon red, white platoon, second platoon white, and then third platoon blue. I was in second platoon. Now, most of our guys actually stayed in second platoon. It was like the other platoons that had like the majority of them quit. And so they had to make a whole separate platoon upstairs in a different bay for all the people who quit and that were getting out, or that just didn't want to be there anymore. But there were so many of them, they had no space up there, and they weren't making their quota for recruits to actually graduate because they made so many people quit in those 14 days. And I think, looking back on it, the only reason why so many people quit is because we had like 3 new drill sergeants. This was like their second cycle, and they just went ham. Before, like, other drill sergeants were like, all right, we need to kind of cut back a little bit because mofos were quitting left and right. So they convinced maybe out of those like 45% of the people, like they probably convinced about a good half of them to come back. So like say, what was it? We'll say about 60 people, 65, 70 people quit. So about like 35, 40 of them came back, if that, right? And then the other people just left. I don't even remember their faces or names. I mean, but that was throughout all basic training. People would quit after certain things, and they would just have a separate platoon for, people would quit and then want to either come back or whatever was going on, like medical, everything was just in that platoon. Quitters, medical, all that. So yeah, we after the Shark Week or Shark Attack, they had to convince people to come back, and that's when we realized, oh my god, like this, all those people quit. And then, but like it was kind of like, I kind of wish they didn't quit, because then I saw the flaws in their like play to make people quit, and they were like, we're gonna make you quit, and I'm like, not if a lot of us do. So I was like, I don't know, it was weird, but like obviously I didn't do anything different. I was still scared. Yeah, so after the Shark Week, we started with Red Phase, and Red Phase is basically like you're a nobody. This is basic training. Like, this is 10 weeks of basic training. This is where basic starts. This is where you become a soldier. This is where you do push-ups. Everything they tell you to do, you do. You're scrubbing stuff with toothbrushes. You're shaving it. Everything that you see in movies and stuff like that. And then some happens. Yeah. So Red Phase started. Now I think it's that entire 10 weeks you're on Red Phase. I think. I want to say yes. And then after that, after the Red Phase, after they break you down and build you back up to be a soldier, White Phase starts. And so it goes from Red Phase to White Phase. And after you graduate, Red Phase, which is basically basic, like you are nobody, and then you are nobody with some knowledge and not even any, basically no knowledge, but you're moving on up. So you go to White Phase, which is you basically start learning about weapon systems and your own personal weapon. That's when you get handed your M4. For other people who go through basic training, you might get an M16. But we got M4s because of combat arms and stuff. So that's when you get your M4s. No sights, anything. It's just a naked M4, and you're carrying that thing around everywhere you go. And so after those 10 weeks, you get on White Phase, you get that gun. That's your gun. You have that gun basically until you graduate. Well, until you graduate. So during White Phase, I want to say it calms down from Red Phase, but it really doesn't. It's just Red Phase with guns, basically. But you have a gun, so people love that. You get to go shooting, check out them, like see how the M4 is. You get to go qualifying. That's when you get to shoot guns and learn about different weapon systems and stuff. I don't think that's when we started learning about the 240, but it might be. The 240 is like a machine gun, and then a bunch of other stuff that might have been the next phase. If not, I'll just say it's White Phase. But White Phase was weapon systems, so you got to shoot Mark 19s, which is an automatic grenade launcher. You got to shoot 50 cals. You got to shoot 30 Mikes off of Bradley. You got to shoot your M4 240s. We got to shoot 320s, which is just grenade launcher, and then I can't remember what it's called, but it's another grenade launcher that isn't attached to your rifle. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but like, you just get to shoot a lot of cool things and with dummy rounds and get taught a lot of cool stuff. Well, that was fun for me. Live ammunition, everything, that was great. That was the first time I actually shot a weapon, like, believe it or not. Like, so, like, I didn't have a great upcoming or whatever, so that, like, in the military, in basic training, is the first time I ever shot a weapon, like a military or a rifle, anything like that. That's one thing we actually didn't mess around with, was like shotguns and pistols, but rifles and machine guns and grenade launchers, all that, yeah. We also learn in that stage is like actual grenades. So you get to throw, grenades and stuff like that, and drill sergeants or the instructors love that, because if you throw a live grenade and you stand there and stare at it and wait for the boom, they have permission to grab you and like just throw you to the ground for your safety, but they look forward to that because that's the only time they can actually manhandle privates or recruits. Yeah, so we got to learn all about that. We got to play with C4, claymores, which I think was actually there. So let's move on to the next phase of, so it goes red, white, and then blue. Blue phase is when I think you got more of weapons and, like, I want to say vehicles and team maneuvers, but I could be wrong. We could have learned that in white, because I'm pretty sure white was like one of the longest phases, and blue was like our shortest phase. Or no, blue was like tied with white because we were supposed to go to black, and then we didn't because drill sergeant stuff. But yeah, so we got to do all that fun stuff. Do claymores, throw grenades. We got to do team maneuvering, setting up ambushes. Just a lot of great, amazing stuff, like checkpoints, like things that you never think, like things I never thought, like, the military actually did. Like, like, you see it in movies, but you don't understand what it is until you're doing it, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, so we also got to do the gas chamber, where you get to go in and, breathe in that lovely gas. I'm sure you all heard or seen stuff of that, like people's snots and tears. It's just, tear gas. You go in there, you take off your pro mask, your gas mask, and you're done after done. Yeah, so that was a fun day, interesting and fun. I have like so many little stories in between, like, all this stuff, but I don't want to make it like a crazy long video. So we're in blue phase. This is where we learn about teams, maneuvers, all that fun stuff. After blue phase, we go to black phase, which is basically prep for graduation. This is where we start learning drill and ceremony. We start getting our learning, like cleaning our weapons and stuff like that, because we're basically done using them. It's more or less for show now, or to put them back into the armory. So it goes from red, white, blue to black phase. So when you're in black phase, this is where you get your uniforms together, your dress blues. Or at the time they were dress blues. I think they're pinks now because they went back to the World War II style, which are awesome. I wish they did that when I was still. I think they did, but I was like, it's too expensive right now. Yeah, so we got the black phase. We started cleaning our weapons, getting our uniforms all ready for graduation, and then you go to, well, let me back it up. So after the basic training, you graduate basic training. So like there's two graduations: basic training and then your AIT or OSET training. AIT is like the advanced training for your MOS if you're not combat arms. If you are combat arms, or at Fort Benning combat arms, you go to OSET, which is one station unit training, and you do basic training there, and you do your job training there, your specific job, which was cavalry scout for me. So you do your job training there as well. Other places like mechanics, they might go to basic training in Fort Jackson or something like that, but they might do their AIT in Fort Benning. Like they'll come down and work on vehicles in Fort Benning, but they'll do their basic training in Fort Jackson in like Missouri, I think, like that. Yeah, so we were there the whole time. So we were there for basic training and our AIT, which is just called OSIT. We learned about our job in the same place with all our drill sergeants still, which kind of sucked but was fun. Yeah, so we go from black phase, or after basic training, you graduate basic training and you become a soldier, like just a soldier, right? And then after black phase, or right before black phase ends, that's basically like when you, or was it after basic? It might have been after basic when you become like a scout, but I want to say in black phase is when you become a scout. Because we were like almost done and I was like, this is it, like, yeah. So they did a big ceremony, bonfire, all that stuff when we did this crazy like ruck. I want to say it was only like 18 kilometers or 18k, maybe 16 to 18k. It wasn't crazy long, but when you're rucking and you already been in the field for so long, it sucks. But after that, they took us, we rucked from the field, which was like way out in like the woods, woods, and we rucked back all the way back to the bay, about 18k, but we rucked past our bay, past our barracks, and we were like, oh, come on, like we're done, we're tired, our house, like our beds are right in there, and we got there. They stopped us in the quad and they're like, you think you're done? And we're like, I hope so. But they're like, nope. And then we literally went for like an all-out sprint over to this like ceremony spot where they had a big bonfire and they gave us our gold MOS badges that we put on our collars to signify that we became Cavalry Scouts. And then, but yeah, after black phase, you go to gold phase, which is basically you're just graduating. You are just, you're a soldier. You're just waiting to basically check that dot and, you're done. You just have to do the ceremonies, have your family come in, see you in your dress blues, do all that fun stuff. And then yeah, so after you graduate, all that fun stuff, you're with your family. And if you joined the National Guard, you get to go home with your family or other arrangements to go back to your state. If you're going active duty, which funny enough, in my platoon, there was only like 6 of us out of like 38 people. There was only 6 of us going active duty. Everyone else was reserves or National Guard. Almost said nasty girls. National Guard. Yeah, so it was just the 6 of us like that were going active duty, and so we got so much one-on-one time with the drill sergeants because the National Guard dudes and the reserve dudes had to go do other stuff like paperwork for their units in the state because it was different federally or whatever. But we didn't have to do that because we were going active, like we were joining the real army. But yeah, so we graduate. My grandmother was now passed, and my dad came down to see me graduate. We had pictures. Did the walk across the field. Did all the cool stuff. They got to see where we lived, where we trained, where we did our push-ups. All that fun, cool things. Take pictures in front of the vehicles we'll be driving eventually. All that cool stuff. And then after that, everybody left. Me and the 6 dudes that were going active. Literally, they said, hey, say goodbye to your parents. And I'm like, we literally saw them for 15 minutes and they're like, yep, you're going to your unit. And I was like, okay. My dad was like, well, I guess I'll see you later. And I was like, yeah. Later turned into a year, but yeah, so our 6 dudes or however many it was got on another white bus. They took us, before we got on the bus, they gave us a packet, paperwork, all this stuff, and basically told us where we were going. Now, I was originally supposed to go to South Korea for my first duty station, but there was a issue in basic training, so I got sent to Fort Hood, Texas for my first duty station. Yeah, so, and that in it of its own was a crazy time, crazy time. Yeah. But that is my video for tonight, and in perfect timing. I am so sorry about that. That is my video for tonight. If you enjoyed, please like, comment down below. If you want to see part 2, let me know. I know I could talk a lot, and I'm all over the place, and I'm sweaty. But I love you all. Much love. It's been real. I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye.